All right, hello and welcome back to Battle of Behemoth 3 here on the streets of Mordheim, where we'll be looking at my Witch Hunters warband, Calico's Vengeance. People may not know this, but this Calico's Vengeance, way back in the day against Game Night, I was in a tournament. It was a progression tournament contest. So you would do PvPs with contests, and units would get injured and killed and whatnot. And I played Witch Hunters, and my leader was called Calico. He was the captain. And I lost in the final to Ainir. He had the sisters, and he killed me with his maiden. I failed like every single combat check. He was just bypassing all of my magic resistance and talismans, and it was just a nightmare. And then the maiden does what maiden does and just cleaned me up. So this is why they're called Calico's Vengeance. We'll see if we get his vengeance. I really don't like Calico, but there he is. A type of pattern of a cat. I don't know if you know what Calico is. Or I guess it's just like there can be clowns. It's just like a pattern, I think. Anyway, I made some substitutions, just like everyone can. You can take 3 henchmen and 4 hero slots. That could be a leader or a impressive counting as 2. So I went with 4 heroes and 2 henchmen. I barely changed any of them, but I quickly realized, as is quite obvious, that warrior priests are clearly the backbone of your team. The league stage gave me a chance to play around with other units, and I had my fun. But here we are with what really does carry the team, which is warrior priests. Now, they will probably be vetoed. There will be a chance now to veto in elimination matches. In one of the best of 3, you can veto a unit, and I would fully expect these to be vetoed. But I got rid of my Witch Hunter hero and brought in a priest. I dropped one of my Witch Hunter captains. I only had 2 just to test them. I was never going to take 2. And I brought back the Vengeance Zealot. And I really didn't get rid of the Templar, but I also rebuilt him, and I don't remember what the hell he was. So here he is. I think I rebuilt him exactly the same. But if not, here he is. I was working on it this morning. I was looking at another wolf priest and decided I just still really liked this guy. I did not hate him, and I did not see a role for 2 wolf priests on my team. And then down here, I got rid of the Shadow Puppet, though I renamed. I can't think of names. He was the melee resistance henchman that was quite good, except he just melted, absolutely melted to magic, and that was a fatal flaw. And then I got rid of the Rolling Waves. He was a dodge flagellant that I never used because I liked these 2 too much, and I was never going to bring 3 flagellants. So I never even used him. I never got to test him. Oh well. So without further ado, we have Shepherd of the Lost, who was Shepherd of the Lost. He is actually the same in all of the skills. This is my Daredevil guy that would surprise everybody by dropping the hammer. He had Veteran Mastery, Armor Proficient Mastery, Hardy Mastery, Weak Spot Mastery, and Daredevil Mastery. Basic Web, Ad Rush. So he typically stands around, stays alive, and casts. And then when he's called upon, he switches to his Weapons of Destruction, which I guess are not. We could have a few options. Daredevils and beats the shit out of you. What did I change about him? I changed his spellbook. I said, even when I was recording it, I think I fucked up. And I wanted to deny the heretic, and I didn't have it anywhere. And having played a bit, I found, not surprisingly, as I've discussed many times, around the caster spells are really hard to get off, especially in the heat of combat. When you're first starting, you can get one off, great. As combat goes on, it's really hard to get efficient use out of that. And so I figure 1 is plenty. This guy can put it on whoever might need it. The only unit he would have been putting it on is this guy, because it's not self-only. So I guess he loses 10% armor. It is what it is. You have to sacrifice something. But now I have Mastery Deny the Heretic. Literally the only thing changed. Even all the stats are the same. That's the luxury of liking your warband. You can just make a minor tweak. And then we have a new unit, Mittens the Monk, an upgraded Witch Hunter hero. We kicked him to the curb, and now we actually have a real unit. And again, the league stage was a chance to analyze what you felt like were your weaknesses or where you could change things or surprise players. And in this case, I wanted some. Yes, I did take Soulfire. I want to be able to punish with some magic. I was looking at caster builds, and I really didn't like them. At the end of the day, I have to pick a theme, which of what my warband has been, and try to shoehorn in this guy. And as always, it's just chunky survivability. So I took Mastery Armor Proficient, Mastery Hardy. He has Mastery Veteran because it's the tax you pay to get these skills. You have to get all 3 of them unless you're the Born Leader. He doesn't pay that tax, but he pays Born Leader tax. So you can see that 15-15. And then I took Divine Study because it's really good and I like it, and I said so in the in the rankings. And it's nice to get a full spell book for 2 skill points. And yes, I now have Quick Prayer. I will use Quick Prayer. The idea being you smack somebody and then you Quick Prayer, as you will ultimately gain plus 10% casting chance. But you do have to smack somebody first. I mean, you don't have to, but then you'll suffer. He does have that Ignore Pain Mastery to go, and the Web of Steel to go with just the general tankiness again. So he wants to get in combat, but he's not fucking suicidal. He has this Spellbinding and Pain. He did take Max Intelligence to get the most magic damage possible and to get some magic resistance. You could maybe take a Talisman and have some decent protection. He could always switch to a Spellbinding, maybe Great Hammer, if he wants to kill himself. We'll see what we do with the off weapon. So yes, what did he take? He still has Mastery Healing Hands. I think that's just so much value. He also did take Mastery Deny the Heretic. And of course now the Mastery Soulfire. I was torn. They're combatants like the Cult, Skaven. I think that's it, I guess, where I have to worry about fear. And I did not have a basic Armor of Righteousness. And it was something I wanted to rectify. So this guy will now be my basic Armor of Righteousness. Again, it does stack 15% armor, which is something too. I was torn. I could have mastered this. I took Mastery Immaculate Flesh with those 4 points instead. It feels to me kind of like a big waste, just because they are not. No, I didn't. No, he's not going to be a great caster, but he asked if I took magic resistance lowering, and I'm not. The idea is, 1, you have a hammer that can do that, and 2, I'm hoping everyone takes fear and terror against me because that's what I do. Obviously, I don't think he's a good matchup against the Cult. I think you're absolutely moronic if you take magic against the Cult because of all the Tzeentch warding and tools and the Doomweaver, Idol of Change. There's just a lot of reasons as a divine caster to not take that against the Cult. But against warbands that actually have to worry, like Skaven, which you're not even on my side, the bracket paranoia, so I don't think I'll get any use out of this. But the idea would be to take those and scare them. Sisters have to worry about it, but you know, so will the sisters take magic resistance or will they take fear and terror resistance? Because it will matter for them. And I think Mork's a big opponent to worry about and things like that. So I don't know. I was torn. I think taking Mastery Armor of Righteousness may have been just better value overall, and I might regret taking this and just leaving that at basic and then having 2 guys with Mastery. Obviously, he is going to play not with this guy, though he could. Here's the caveat. He could play with him as the leader, but one of these will be picked to go with this guy. It will most likely be this guy all the time, so that's also why I wasn't that worried, but he will keep people honest. And he has Mastery Armor, so I don't know. You have to pick, and you just pick, and you move on with life. I guess I figured 50% words down resistance isn't a bad thing either, if I actually get those off. But it is what it is. This is a luxury unit, in my opinion. I wanted to use this guy during the tournament. I sidelined him, but now I've brought him back. I think I rebuilt him the way I had him. I think there's a slight difference. I can't think of the word I was going to say. Slight differences between the ones I had. Added should know this unit. He fought him and 10 versus 10s. But this is the vengeance. You hurt me, I hurt you. Back even harder. Zealot. He has Lad's Got Talent, of course. Then he takes the Hardy, Sigil of Sigmar, Knowledge of Mordheim for 7 meters. Because I went around and around on what to take here, if you had watched the stream. And I decided you're never disappointed with more movement. Basic Ad Rush, of course. Then he has the Mastery Frenzy, Mastery Ignore Pain for magic resistance and damage. And then, of course, to survive longer, the basic Intimidate. And then I took, and it pains me to say this with paranoia here, I took Fanatical Zeal after saying it's the shittiest thing in the world. It was that or Baby Daredevil, but Attracting Lure and Intimidate have shown to be quite popular in this tournament, and this is the easy way to shut them down, is to just take Fanatical Zeal. I've said normally it's horrible, you can't disengage. In this case, with the way the tournament's been going, this is actually a benefit. So he will pop this. He does not struggle for SP because he doesn't web or anything. He will ignore Pain and Frenzy and maybe Intimidate, right? But he'll have room to pop this off every now and again, I think, in his build, and be able to prevent himself from being Attracting Lured or something against all the cult and Intimidated and whatnot. So I went with that. It was that or Baby Daredevil. I've been scarred, absolutely scarred by 1 out of 1 rolls. I'm 4 or 5 matches in a row where I've had one. Like, seriously, I've had maybe 4 matches in a row, but 5 of them during the 4 matches. It's absolutely insane. So I decided not to take Baby Daredevil because I can already imagine a tournament match where that kills me, and I rage and I lose. So, and the pain of using 6 or 3 OP every other turn, I was just like, eh. So the idea is he gets injured either by magic, ranged, or melee, and he just builds damage. You anytime you touch this guy, he builds damage. If you don't touch him, to be fair, he's just a Templar. He just walks around and does 45, 50 damage, even less because you probably have some armor. The problem is you will eventually have to touch him, especially if he's on your, I don't know, your Impressive, and he has Zeal and stuff, right? And so I will put him places where you need to deal with him. So in my opinion, he's like an upgraded Templar who I was going to get rid of, but then I decided, fuck it, I will just keep the Templar because I don't want another warrior, Wolf Priest. So there is Cuddles the Vengeful. If you hit him, you better hit him hard. He's kinky like that. I deleted him, and then in the process of making the units, I don't remember how the fuck I built him, so I'm just saying I've rebuilt him, but I think this is the same build. He has Sigil of Sigmar, Armor Proficient, Hardery, Mastery, and Knowledge of Mordheim Basic. I can't remember if that was the same or not. He has Ad Rush, Ignore Pain, Mastery, Web of Steel, and Intimidate with Swift Jump. I think all of this is same. The idea behind this guy was Sisters. He's basically, I'm playing the Sisters. And he's deployments where I need to start battle immediately, and I just fucking work. Now, what would probably happen is a henchman will just lock him down. So maybe we can Intimidate or figure that out. I would imagine this guy might get some use against the cult, where they want to use Attracting Lure, and he doesn't give a shit either. But easily getting to 95% armor. Ignore Pain is 75. You can take a Mandrake route. Is 85. Just throw Armor of Righteousness. He is at 95, which is more than 85 is probably fine on his own. Just chug the Mandrake and this, and he's good to go. And if you do magic to him, you will give him power, and he will eventually become immune. Of course, you can go to an Amulet of Spell Breaking if I wanted to start at a higher level of resistance. So I just think he functions. Again, the big worry about both of these, they're very similar builds, is they don't really do damage. They need to kind of get hurt to do damage. So their biggest fear is a henchman that could just fuck them up. So then we have the new henchman. I tried to play with like a baby version of this, and it just doesn't work. So I just made more hybrids. And since we do have now Deny the Heretic, I think it was worth now investing in Handshot. They're very similar to these other hybrids. I think you'll see the passives are probably exactly the same. Yeah, so they're exactly the same. Basically everything, I think, except Handshot over Staggering Blow. So not much different. Probably very similarly built stats. Quick Reload, Quick Draw, Ardent Cleansing. Veteran was free. It's a free passive slot. That's felt like one of the better ones to take because he's full of actives. Hand Shot, Ad Rush, Knee Shot. Just really good utility. And then Burn the Witch and Jaw Strike. If he gets in melee, just really good utility. With Quick Draw, he doesn't have to use SP, so he can get off Jaws. Burn the Witches, I mean, pretty easily without worrying about that. And then he was built the same. So why would I use these guys? This is if I'm flexing with Deny the Heretic. Maybe, like, let's become quite obvious. My team is very heavily armored. So if you take a bunch of perforation weapons, what is my counterplay? Well, my counterplay is to throw out Deny the Heretic, do some hand shots, and use this guy's, Winter's Chill, and try to fuck with you a bit. If you don't switch to maces, you're going to suffer to hit me. Each miss is just, it's an arms race. It will just help me. So I always planned on it. I didn't say it during all the building. Why would I? But I always planned to flex to melee resistance. So this is always the ultimate plan, was to do it, and I'm finally doing it. I could have obviously gone bigger on that route, but I feel like taking hit chances from 95 to 70 or like 70 to 50, like these little bits add up. You will get misses. And I think it will be enough to matter. I'm not trying to make myself fucking impossible. I'm just trying to make myself even more goddamn annoying to kill. And you almost do it, and then I drop a Healing Hands, and you just want to rage quit and say, Witch Hunters are broken. I can't believe this is allowed in the game. Strongest warband ever. So those are the subs. Not much difference. Really just 2 new units, if you want to be quite honest. A Soulfire caster, and then like a twist on the Templar, a unit I had before, and these shouldn't be new to anybody really if you've watched any of my PvPs or streams. And then just 2 new hybrid zealots. It's ultimately like literally the only way to build them. They're just so good at being hybrids. They're really archers before melee, let's be honest, but they are happy to get engaged into melee. So that is my team. Yeah, back to main menu. Since added is here, we could just jump down here. This should take all of 2 seconds. My man has 2 new units. Unless I misread something. My cat is adamant I let it into the new office. Come on, kitty. Okay, well, fuck you too then, as it walks away from the door. I really don't like cats. I don't know why my name is Kitten Paw. All right, hello and welcome back. You know what? I'm probably not even going to split these off into separate videos. I'll probably just do this all at once, so fuck it. Here is Added's team. I'll put a timestamp and you will see them, because this will take 2 seconds. He's only subbed out 2 units. I believe the numbers still add up correctly. That's 5. I actually think you're short a hero, aren't you? If we give you a team. No, there's 5. Okay, there's 5. Should be there. Yeah, and there's 3 henchmen left over if we fill them all out. Okay. The 2 units he dressed in black were the so I had no room. I had to leave this guy, but he is not new. You can just ignore him. The new ones are in these black outfits. They don't have cool names yet. Very sorry. He will try to think of really cool names about, I think, diseases and healthcare. I mean, I'm sure I could. Why don't you call one of them Fournier's gangrene or Fournier's disease? You can feel free to Google that one. I have a patient, 2 patients with that on our unit right now with Fournier's gangrene. It's a lovely one. He has acrobatic mastery, so right off the bat, he's taking 5 physical stats for max toughness, 503 fuck yourself HP. Let's look at that then while we're thinking about it. He has claw foot to get around the map. Featureless face, that's what that told me right away. He had extra base wounds, free perception, and poison resistance. I think so many of his units have had these. And then Crown of Bones for extra armor, stun resistance, and morale. I think he's really gone in on these from what I remember from the other guys. Oh, it's French. Fournier. Fournier's disease. Imagine getting that one named after you. What a treat. Mastery hardy with that featureless face. Hit and run. So he wants to go places, I guess. Where those are, we don't know. He has resist corruption because he does like picking up stones for some crit. 24 won't do anything. But you also need to pick up stones for points. Armor break basic. He has jaw strike mastery. Interesting. I'm trying to think who this would be. Maybe against sisters, right? This is the number one thought. There's not too much magic damage. Undead too, I guess necromancers. Armor breaking the zombies maybe. Intensity is free, swift jump is free, and guidance for the demonette. I have a few of those out there. It's crippling if she does get one off on her unit and you can't get them going. So it looks like kind of just generic tank that wants to fight mages, I would say. It also does work against order units. There's a lot of order units out there, so he can silence the order units. I don't know what hit and run is for. I guess he expects to disengage a lot and run around and slap people in the face. Would be my guess. And then we have the Skankvel, whatever he will end up becoming called. Yeah, he looked at like right from the get-go. I'm like, that's cloth, and he's got 2 faces. 160 dodge. He has avoid, knowledge of tactics, which doubles down, and with the double heads, extra dodge chance. Resilience, so he doesn't get crit, or he'll die very quickly. Knowledge of Mordheim to get to the target he wants to sidestep against. Jaw strike, again for order. Add rush, and then the free intensity and swift jump. I don't think he's an agility chest. Yeah, there's room for this guy to grow even further. Now that I have the rank 10 builder on, it's fun to do this. 170. He's got that one. So 170. Just if you're daredevil and fighting this guy, you can't lure him or intimidate him or anything, and you'll just have to eat it. You're just probably not going to hit him. Decent melee resistance too. They naturally just kind of get that way with that agility. All right, that's it. So he has 0 brethren, just 0 ranged. I think that's risky. Like literally your only ranged unit. And if this guy, and I expect him, as I said, I expect him to be vetoed all the fucking time. To get rid of Idol of Blood. I can't think of any other unit I would want to veto except maybe the Magister. There's 0 ranged on your team, which I think could be quite risky. It's hard to pull units in, but we do have that 2-hour time limit, so you also can't poke, and pop forever. But if you have the lead in the elimination tournament, this is going to play a much bigger role. Again, it is a soft time limit. Like if a battle is occurring and clearly an ending is coming in the next 10, 15 minutes, just finish the fucking match, you know? Like it's more like we're still fucking halfway across the map. I've killed, what the fuck is happening? It's been 2 hours and no one's dying. Okay, fuck it, it's over. That's really what it's for. I've seen people looking at it like way too of a hard rule. Like if you're clearly winding down, you know, I've seen these tournament matches where there's like the route threshold is like so close. It's like just finish the match. You guys are about to finish the match. Like just finish the match. It can go over 2 hours. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. If you've played it for, you know the matches I'm talking about. If it's just dragging out and nothing's fucking happening, it's over. That's it. Okay. And it won't matter because before we've been trying to get score averages and the elimination matches, whatever it is, that's your match. Time to move on to match 2 and then match 3 because these are best of 3s. If the score was 9-3, 6-3, it's over. It's fucking over. That's the score. Move on to the next match. Whoever has the highest score after 3 matches, it's over. Because I don't care about where you place anymore. You just have to beat your opponent. So I did want to mention that a little bit too. I don't think anyone will find that in the middle of this video. No, I don't need to solidify. It's not a hard rule though. It's a soft rule. I mean, chat knows. Everyone in chat knows. They see it happening. They'll be like, "Oh, I don't know." Like they can tell when things are. It's like a human instinct. It's not that complicated. I don't think. If a match is clearly being dragged out or stalled, I think that counts too. I think there was one that was about to get stalled. I think it was Terrence against Ask, I want to say. And he caught his ogre up the steps, and he was almost dragging it out. And that's where it's like, okay, this counts. Like this is fucking over if he doesn't end it. He did end it right around the 2-hour mark by killing the flag bearer. He dropped to the ground, and he also failed, so it was literally over. But if he was stalling to get stone or do this and that, then yes, it would have been over. I mean, and chat was the same. It's like, come on, what is he doing? This should be. It's like, you know what? I kind of agree. If he doesn't fucking kill him right here, this is just torture. Everyone can sense it and feel it. There's no way Ask is gonna pull this back. It's just fucking over. You know what I mean? It's solid. It is solid, and it is what it is. We're all adults. I don't know what else to say. You know it when you see it, kind of thing, right? So then I guess we'll jump to Mork and Book. They both did all of their units they could, I think. So these will take a little longer. All right, he did like the side units, and he was kind enough to do this. I was asked to please put them in the active slots. It makes it harder for me to be like, I don't know who he replaced. You'll have to go back. That's not my job. You'll have to go watch the one video if you're playing Mork and then figure out who's not in the band anymore and who is in the band. All right. I can at least show you the active band now. I guess that's not a perfect answer, but it is what it is. I don't want to redo the whole war bands, right? Very low HP Augur. I'm guessing she's very melee resist, yeah. Magic isn't great, but she could take a talisman. Yeah, there you go. So he's got Sigmar's Sight, the free check. Born Leader, of course, because she's now the leader. Battle Tongue and Order. Awareness and Serenity. So not a shield specialist. That's why it's not as insane as it could be. But you have to pick if you're going to take Order with her to turn her shitty, horrible, no offense into offense. This is what you have to take. And then you get less melee resistance. It's part of why I hate her so much, to be quite honest. If you want to go Serenity, you know, I think she has to take a Shield of Bravery, yeah. So I actually think she'll be prone. This is a unit that will be prone to Undead, even though she seems built for Undead. If you could get some Dismay, it will be hard to hit her, though, with Perception. But even the Idol of Death, and put her in All Alone, it could be a coin flip right out the bat. So it could be a way to counter her. It'll be interesting to see. But Augurs are extremely difficult to kill. It'll be very difficult to jaw strike her too. So I think that's one of the powers of having Order on the Augur is it's really hard to hit them. She does have Mastery Feint to get that up. I don't know if she has Basic on some henchmen to stack it. Basic Sign of Sigmar. Meditation to get onto the unit she wants with the Sister Superior, and then she wants you to use her. She doesn't want you to delay. Come and hit me and miss with the Threaten. So Serenity, melee resistance tank that orders. So it's a good build. Part of the doing all these is average PvE players. There's some pickup. I can't remember his name, but this guy was posting a lot about his team and whatnot. Like, I think these videos should be used as a resource. You want to make really good builds. Look at builds that are succeeding in PvP and be inspired by them. Here's a henchman version, or I'm sorry, a hero version. I don't remember if he had a hero version. So this might be new. But again, taking that melee resistance. Now this one can take it to the next level because it doesn't have Born Leader. So we have Shield Specialist Mastery. We have Awareness Mastery and the Serenity Mastery. and then protection of Sigmar. So even shooting her will be awful. So this is the unit you put your zombie on. You put your sidestep, um, flagellant, a ghoul, and it will just stare at them. That's how you have to deal with this unit. And I do not see intimidate. So she's fucked if you can get her against a wall. That's the problem with this unit. But that's how you counter this unit, because otherwise it will dig the fuck in. It'll be hard to do even intimidates on 45%, right? So with basic 60, 80%, is that what it is? Basic so bad. You only have 1 out of 5 to intimidate her. Feint, jaw strike, careful approach, really not shooting. Like you can't kill this unit. You just have to lock it down. Meditation, basic, and then threaten. So very tanky. It will die if you can stun it or do something like that. So the cult has that AoE stun spell, right? This is a unit you go after it with. I think that'd be good value. But I think she gets I don't know how that honestly works. Like, does she have to fail magic and then it's a stun? I honestly, to this day, know what the fuck it does. Honestly, I don't. So if it needs the magic check, you're never going to stun her. If it goes right to the, like it's a coin flip and you get the stun check right away, then okay. I don't know, though. But 2 tanky units. Priscilla. She has Knowledge of Mordheim Mastery, Hardy Mastery, Resilient, and Demoralize. Wow. I don't know what else to say there. It's good to see. It's basic only. 4 Sigmar, of course, she starts with. Meditation. She's going to be doing 4 Sigmar on everybody. Kidney Strike. He's had that on a lot of henchmen. And then the Mastery Intimidate. So he's enjoyed what he's seen as well. You can see where that goes with Demoralize. So you would hit. Well, no Ad Rush, so. But 4 hits then. Maybe one of them a Kidney Strike, obviously, and then try to Intimidate for a little bit better chance, and then the Jaw Strike. So a generic tank. I think, again, this one suffers from damage. These hero slots you need a lot of damage out of, too. I was talking about this building my team. These are kind of tanky, so they're not bringing much damage to the team. If you can control them, then I think they're in a bad way as far as helping the Maiden. And then we have Nova. Of course, Unsettling Charge. Resilient Basic. Still very soft girl. Devotion Mastery. Knowledge of Mordheim Mastery. Bull Charge to proc off her Unsettling Charge. And then he's doubled down on these Daredevil builds. Again, I've said for a long time, I think these are their best melee damage units that aren't Maidens. And I think Mork has discovered that as well. The Bull Charge, if you land your hit, she has 20 weapon skill, then you proc Unsettling Charge, but Daredevil still procs more dodges, so the point is, I believe, to break a Web of Steel is what you would want to do. I don't see any weak spot, though, so she will be prone to high dodge builds. So she'll have to watch out when she procs this. Swift Charge to give you better hit chance, too, to proc Unsettling Charge. Ad Rush on a damage dealing unit. Intimidate basic, and then Quick Prayer, because he did take Devotion. This is a weird hybrid magic damage, melee damage build, which I would expect, Commons of Sigmar, Healing Circle for everybody, and then these buffs to stack. Sigmar's Might Basic with Mastery, and Blessing Athleticism Mastery with the basic for the Maiden. I don't know if he rebuilt the other Daredevil. Okay, I don't know if he had 2, but he does have 2 now. So my conclusion is he enjoyed this build and he made another one just a little different if you look at it. And it is a good build. I really like this one too. I think she's very dangerous, being able to use the tight crew and with axes of perforation. She counters those heavy armored units with her Daredevil. So it's no wonder he kept this unit too. I think these are the girls that do damage, so... if you veto his purifiers, he loses a lot of Daredevil. I think the captain has to come. right? And then of course he has the maiden, so it'll be the superior, the augur. I think this was his. He only had one superior, so he changed the superior he had for this one. This gets you 3 of them, right? Yeah, 3, because she has 7, so she gets 9 with mastery. So you get 3 4 Sigmars off, but then walk nowhere. She's always dragging up the rear. So again, you can see why Mork's a favorite. He's just a very good player at this point. This is quite confusing. Okay, he has 3 sisters and 3 novices. Trying to see the hammer. That's always confused the shit out of me, the way their hammers go. So 3 novices and 3 sisters. You replace 2 of the novices and 1 of the sister. We'll start with the sister, Leone. She has veteran basic, which was free to train. 6 Sense, which used to be, or is it still free? Maybe it's free. The mastery is, yeah, it's easy to master. So he wants ranged resistance, I would guess. Knowledge of Mordheim and resilient, so mobility and crit resistance. She has Web of Steel. Meditation to get around the map. Kidney Strike, like I said, he's had that for the Daredevils. Jaw Strike and Adrenaline Rush. And if you've watched him playing these units at all, he picks up a stone, gets Repentis, 4 Sigmar. He gets 13 meters movement, uses meditation. He can sprint across the fucking map, and they just dig in like little ticks. They're as tanky as my Zealots. So he doesn't care if he casts magic on them because they have 400 HP. Go ahead and cast. You'll explode before you kill me. And they're just really fucking annoying. But they will die to Daredevil builds very quickly. They'll die that turn and 1 turn to a Daredevil build. So you can like melt them down faster than a zombie, which acts similarly. But that's how he's been using those. I think they're very similar. Just very mobile girls. And then he has novices, I think, have gone a bit more into dodge and melee resist, yeah. They kind of slowly come up, right? They cannot move as fast as a sister, but they'll slowly come up and then try to dig into your impressive. This one's a Serenity build. Again, looks like Shadow Puppet, my old Zealot. Serenity, Nerves of Steel, which mine had to take to make sure full Serenity. Nimble, to get around. He does love having everyone the same speed. And then Knowledge of Mordheim. Sidestep Feint. Meditation to get where he wants. Righteous Fury. It's good to see that on her. I think this is like born to be a novice skill. Because even if you miss with your 6 weapon skill, you will. You'll get more dodge. And then Jaw Strike. So again, they want to get in on you and dig in. And your Daredevil will struggle against these. So you might want to try to intimidate them. It's a coin flip, but you can intimidate them. Try to lock them down with your own henchmen. This one's probably very similar. Serenity, Nerves of Steel, Nimble, Awareness, Righteous Fury, Sidestep, Meditation, Feint, and Sign of Sigmar. So I think that's a little different. No Jaw Strike. There must be a reason for that one versus another. He trades Awareness for Knowledge of Mordheim too, so not as much mobility on Katrina. A little bit more melee resistance. Still absolutely melt to some lightning or something. I don't think he would. It's funny, he'd bring them against the undead, but suffer if he brings them against the undead, right? So, there's Mork's team. Again, a big threat, as always. Yeah, he has this like really tanky leader. And I think she's a caster one. She whips out the big comets, right? And she's unchanged. He really is invested in that. She is like made of tissue paper, though. I think this has been one of the weak points for him, is if you can kill her, it's like good night, you know. And she's very easy to kill. But if she pops off, she pops off. So, not a lot. Did we see the magic? I don't think I looked at her magic. No, we did. No second wind. I feel like some of them did. Yeah, she has it because she's a tank. Yeah, and she doesn't because she's doing comets more. He's really not invested in second wind. This is so Aberratia is the only second wind unit out there. See if we can turn her off. Like this maiden's been powering itself through the innervation stuff, right? And quick casting. Very risky style. Anyway, definitely a favorite to win. Which brings us to the last qualifier of the buy round. First round buys, Book Thief. Oh man, he has just lost horribly. These are fun to see. Clearly scouting maps and stuff. All right. Yeah, he did a full rebuild too. Even though I really liked his team, we'll see what he didn't like. He kept the big tanky vampire. This guy was always his flag bearer. I barely remember these thralls. I feel like he just didn't use them that much. And they're still Wharf, the anticipation kind of build. So he has 2 new zombies. I think he has a new ghoul. I think he only had 1 ghoul. So he's now 2 ghouled in case you start vetoing these guys. I talked a bit about that during the stream too. How it's hard to keep up multiple zombies, Van Hells, if you're getting necromancers vetoed, right? I actually can't remember. She does have mastery. She has mastery. He probably has mastery too. Oh, he has basic. So he'd kind of force his hand. I mean, he'd have to bring the thralls anyway, right? You vetoed the necromancer. So he's probably like thrall, vampire, keeping them up. Then maybe the dreg at that point, because you have a thrall and a vampire. A dreg makes sense with the blood offering or whatever, blood frenzy. Humble servant. So anyway, did very well. Captain Picard. Oh, that guy was Riker. Was he always Picard? I wonder if he just rebuilt this guy. I think he had like a Web of Steel one. Okay, he still does. The Warp Attunement, of course. Born leader to become a leader. Body reconstruction. Massive HP. It's just upgraded Hardy. Battle Tongue and Order. Looks like he's fully invested in that finally. And then Baby Study. That's interesting. Like, if you lose the Death Trap, you could have mastered that, but he's pretty loaded up anyway, I guess. Web of Steel Mastery. Again, if you didn't master that, you could have mastered Death Trap or something. But he wants that one last parry. Mastery Order for the range and hit chance. Combat Savvy. This is for Worf specifically. And maybe one of his melee resistant zombies. Again, he's smattering in a hint of melee resistance, which is what I was doing too. It's funny, our warbands kind of mirror each other a lot of ways. Having a lot of HP and armor, and then smatterings of melee resistance, and then just kind of grinding out wins. Exhaustion, and then the Death Trap. This is most likely you go up some steps and put it at the door to protect yourself, which this one does. And then it reduces melee hit chance, which goes with Combat Savvy, so it does stack with that. He does have the Baby Rotten Touch, and then the Mastery Lifestealer. Mastery Corpse Flesh, basic Van Hell, usually stacking these. And then the Death Idol of Death, which could be very useful again against... You drop that down against Mork's Augur. She's at 45% all alone. That's less than a coin flip, so just with the Idol of Death and you put her all alone, you could maybe get her off. It's an option for him to look at. Ideally, you just put one of these zombies on her. Just never have to worry about her again. You're trading a henchman for a hero or a leader. That's always like a win. Even though it feels bad to lose your zombie, the rest of your team should be able to like gang up on the remaining heroes or impressive. Otherwise, you've fucked up somewhere else, to be quite honest. So if you can, anytime you're trading henchmen for heroes, you should be winning. Let's just put it that way. And then we have Q. I believe this is a new one. And finally, it's good to see, maybe inspired by Diggs, very good builds of the Necro Ranger. Knowledge of Mordheim Mastery. This guy can get around. And then the quick reload basic, because ideally you're casting a bit and only shooting a couple times. So you're splitting your OP. So the fatigue, reload fatigue shouldn't be too bad that you need mastery. Expert casting for the range too. What is this, 30? And then this is going to be 25. So it's a little awkward. I think you like to see them match. Okay, it's the spell binding. But obviously not enough room maybe in the build to get that to, if you can get that 10, you know. Does he have reach on his head? Probably not. No, he could. But it's always nice to have them be the same so you don't have to move, is my point, right? You lose an SP. So if this is 30 with mastery for his, in this case, Rotten Touch, and then 30 for the bow, you don't have to move. You can just cast, shoot, walk away. So expert casting basic though, and embed wordstone basic. I think it's free to change or train. Gives them for obviously proccing warp attunement, and it's a big part of this tournament. I don't know if people have noticed. Some resistance. You can pray. Maybe this guy will be the flag carrier, so he can pray and then pick it up. And then of course, I think this might block the plus OP to casting and shooting. I can't remember, to be quite honest. But if it did, that's good value. Here you can see him doubling down again. Tripling down? Mastery hand shot with that combat savvy. Nerve shot for the undead. I'm sorry, the cult. Breaking their chaotic advantages. And just, you know, any unit with a stance. Knee shot mastery is just such good value. Death trap basic and ad rush to maybe get off another shot or another rotten touch. So I like this build. It's a very good build. The one thing I would say is I would want those to both match, but I get the cost, right? You'd have to take from somewhere, and I like everything else too, though, right? So you can't have it all. Rotten Touch mastery, Call of Van Hell mastery, Corpse Flesh mastery, and then just the basic idol. So now if he puts this down, that augurs at 30%, which is brutal, right? And then it's also 60% for fear and terror. So that's why he takes idol. That's why I mentioned them. They do have value. A lot of people struggle to get value out of them, but when they work, they work. 2 new dregs. I kind of liked his dreg. Let's see how he tweaked him, though. This feels like the one he had. This guy was a fucking, yeah, he's still a giant meat shield that is not fun to kill, and it's exactly what you want in these flex slots. This is the kind of unit I think people should be going for. This is a very fucking annoying unit, and you get nothing for killing it, but you stop eating rotten touches and knee shots and nerve shots and hand. Like, you can't just ignore Q. You can't just ignore Lieutenant Commander Data, because he has Mastery Armor Break, and he has Humble Servant, and he will be, like, charging up units, and he's not going to hit softly. Like, this guy will hit decently hard, and he will suck to kill. If you put a henchman against him, he will get through that henchman eventually even too. So he can't get anywhere though. So if Ask is playing Book Thief, just put Curse of Rust on him. For the love of fucking God, he has 9 magic resistance, and he'll never move anywhere. I don't know if many others have like ways to reduce movement, because there's only Skaven. There's 1 Skaven and 1 Merc, so I don't think he has to worry about this too much, to be quite honest. So he's got the Mastery Body Reconstruction and Hardy. That's how you get to this absurd number. You do need basic, especially if you're wearing armor. These 2 combined allow him to just wear heavy armor without penalty. This guy is very tanky. Corpse Flesh will put him at 75% fucking armor, 531 HP. He better have a Mandrake Root, for the love of God. He's undead, so he can take multiple things. Yeah, so he can get up to 6. Holy shit, 85. Just 85 armor resistance, or armor. 531 HP. Even if you cast against this guy, it doesn't feel good. It will take an entire team's round of casting to not even kill this guy. So for fuck's sake, I think he's improved this build and should be proud of it. Embed Wordstone for picking up the stones that matter. For points, again, Mastery Armor Break. He's a unit that can pull this off. That's one of his strong points. This 15-15. Exhaustion, I think that's a really good choice. You have the HP for it, and you can't fucking go anywhere. So how do you fix that? I think this is just well thought out again. 6 meters movement. Now you have 9 SP. So this guy will actually get places. Add Rush and Web of Steel for even more tankiness. I do not look forward to fighting this guy. I think this is a very, like, if people are like, I don't get dregs, I don't know how to make dregs, can we just look at this guy and say, make this dreg? This is how you make a dreg. Like, so much HP to transfer to to the vampire and the thrall. Like, this is like what you want out of him. This is ideal. Armor break is just such value. So this is it. That or you make a ranged one. Okay, here's the ranged one. Geordie LaForge, similar HP. He has quick reload mastery. Trick shooter. I mean, I guess for the nerve shot, it seems like a big investment to land a nerve shot. But there, we know my feelings on trick shooter. Body reconstruction, mastery, hardy or knowledge of Mordheim just to get to 6, and then the free veteran, maybe to up these things. Humble servant, nerve shot, knee shot, basic only, meditation to get around, and then add rush. He does, if you look here, he is a hybrid unit. He seems to have a soldier's chest piece on. So not a unit you want stuck against you. If he's done his job and feel like my job is done here, I will run in, engage you in melee, and go fuck yourself. I now have 45% armor and 500 HP. And you're not going to get him off of you anytime soon. Of course, you could just do a basic intimidator lure and he'll run for his life. So I don't like this build as much. I just don't. He's got precision. I don't know why he's going so big on landing the shot. Out of, say it's not the greatest hit chance, 3 nerve shots in a row, if you're that desperate to land, it should land one of them. That you didn't have to invest in that. I would have liked to seen Dismay and Dismay on here. I get it. Like, this doesn't even, so we saw the augurs. If they just do perception, this trick shooter doesn't even get through the perception chance, right? Plus then he has, what, precision? So that's 23%. You gain a 3% hit chance against an augur that's percepted. So it's going to be hard to shoot them. If it's dismay, you're still minus 5% hit chance, let alone it engages someone. Then you got a 50% hit chance penalty. It's percepted and engaged. And I feel like that's kind of what this unit counters a bit. I don't know if he'll get as much use out of Geordie, to be honest. But Data looks solid, and so does this guy. I think this is the one you bring, honestly. This is a much better built ranged unit. But I guess that's if these guys are vetoed. I don't know. Then we got ground communication, which was an existing unit, so he must have changed it. We've got body reconstruction, shield specialist, flash parry. So he wants to dig in, web of steel, and feint. This is not a unit you want to chew through. You do want to just intimidate it or lock it down with your own henchmen because it has no strength. It's just a giant slab of meat. He wants to put it against a wall where it can't be intimidated or whatever. And if he manages to win that battle, you'll struggle against this guy horribly. Death Trap, Threaten, and Swift Jump are free. This did cost points. That's why he's going to take Ad Rush instead. Maybe some better value. But yeah, that's decent melee resistance. You gotta remember he has the mastery hand shots and combat savvy. So this is like the unit he puts the combat savvy on. Of course, it'll have massive armor, big HP, and hard to hit. That's not something you want to get stuck in against. And then engineering, he's not melee resist, so the agility points did go into strength, and this guy hits hard. But he's still a big slab of meat. He's got body reconstruction and hardy this time, knowledge of Mordheim, web of steel, ad rush, jaw strike now on this one. So I don't know how he tweaked those from the previous ones, but big slabs of meat. And then we got a Romulan spy. Looks just like a Romulan, those dirty bastards. He hits like a truck. I hope he does some innie jumping. We were talking about this kind of build. Quick draw, which I liked. I've enjoyed that on my unit. You can not do a special attack, which it looks like he doesn't have one anyway. So you can't charge, but you walk up, you swing, you quick draw, and you switch over to something very fast. So you go from 69, 30, like look at that big jump, 30. And 39 is low enough where this will matter. And then I saw the ready stance. So then you can ready stance. He's not even taking sidestep or anything because he is all hitting and toughness and HP. So this is a fun build. I like this build. It's one we discussed. He's got mastery or just hardy and body reconstruction for big slabs of meat. Knowledge of Mordheim basic. That quick draw ad rush just in case he gets, you know, ice stormed or something. It can solve his problems again. Just makes it, you can like attack twice with a two-hander. It just kind of fucks up quick draw though. Exhaustion to get on the targets he wants. The ready stance to two-turn you. So he goes attack, attack, quick draw, weapon swap, ready stance is the combination. He's now at 84 speed, and you're about to get, and then he's going to switch back again, of course, and then hit you and hit you. And 4 swings of a Great Axe of Perforation that reset the heavy penalty is going to really fucking hurt you. So this is a unit, it's not meant to live, and we've talked about this over and over. Of course, basic insult, so he lands his attacks. This is a unit, just like these, you find the leader or the flag bearer or the impressive, you put this unit on it and you fucking just chunk it down, and you feel bad killing this unit because it's not worth anything, just like every fucking undead henchman. You could say that about every warband, but especially these are literally worth nothing. He at least drops the morale a bit. But it never feels good to kill this kind of unit. But this is one you will want to kill, and you will kill it, but it will have done probably this much damage to you too. Like it will have easily done 300 plus damage to you before it dies. And if that's your impressive and you're the witch hunters, you just heal it. But if anyone, if you're like the ogre and ask, you know, that does not feel good.